Our third speaker today is another hero of mine for a different reason. It's because of his boundless energy. He seems to do everything. He led groups that invented the iPod, the iPhone, the Nest Learning Thermostat, and much more. And now he heads a group called Future Shape that is coaching more than 200 startups to make the world a better place technologically, a better place for all of us. My friends, please give a warm Starmus Earth welcome to Tony Fadell.
Hello! Hello! Hello, Bratislava. Hello. Thank you for such a warm welcome to all of us at Starmus. It was so amazing last year to come to this city that I've never been before and seeing such beauty here. And now to experience with perfect weather this week, it's been great. And that concert Sunday night, I hope some of you went to it. That was amazing. So great job, Garrick and crew, on that concert. I also want to thank ESET for having us here, bringing us to Bratislava and having Starmus to give it all to you. That's really great, and I'm really proud to be a part of Starmus, the board, as well as to be even more proud to be speaking to you today. So thanks, we're gonna get right into it. I'm gonna tell you about a project, not something you know about that I've normally done. We're not gonna talk about all that. We're gonna talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, a project I've been working on for a while, and now we have some new news about it, as well as we're gonna show you a path that this project, we've been hearing all about the problems yesterday, about what's going on the planet. I'm going to try to show you some solutions, and solutions that work and that we can scale on and do more with. So let's just dive right into it. So why am I here talking to you? Besides the things you know I've done, or I've been able to lead the teams and be able to build these things over the years, I've been able to build a lot more than just those things, billions and billions of products around the planet that people have used over the years and still continues today. The thing is, now what I'm doing is I'm spending my time working with innovators around the world. Startups, helping the planet, helping our health, helping our societies. We're totally focused at Build Collective, trying to help those entrepreneurs like I was helped way back when to create these innovations that are going to change the world for the better. So like one company here, we have Impossible Foods there. That's meat without a cow. No cows, nothing going on there. So that's, so we have meat without a cow. We have Sweep, that is a Scope 3 carbon emission tracking company that we go and work with companies all around the world to find out what their CO2 emissions are and help them try to abate them, to bring them down, to help us solve the climate crisis with CO2. We have Smartex, another company. They are reducing 30 to 40% of the textile waste in the fashion and textile industries. Incredible team right there in Portugal, one team in France, another team in Atlanta, another one in California. We have teams around the world, four different continents and over 200 companies, incredible builders with differentiated technology, incredible technology to help change the world, because that's what it takes, is it takes incredible technology, like we just heard from Charlie, to change the way we think about how we do things on this planet. But it takes more than just incredible technology. It takes something, you have to build it. You have to build it. And so for me, I have put all of the 35 years worth of things that I've done and all the mentors I've worked with into this book. And this book is to help builders like you. I hope all of you are building to help save the planet, help the health. And all the proceeds go to climate change organizations trying to solve the climate crisis. So hopefully this book can help you. And guess what? It's been taking off. We're going to have it in 31 different languages soon. So hopefully, if you want to build, please get that book. It has really helped a lot of people. I've been building since a young age. really big, really young age. You can see all the rockets there. I've always dreamed of space. I saw the first shuttle launch was a little kid. I even, was born in the year of the first Apollo mission. So I have always grown up around space, but I've never done anything with space. I've always dreamed of it. But luckily, about 6-7 years ago, I got a call to help build a satellite. Help build an important satellite. A satellite that tracks methane around the globe. How many people know about CO2? How many know about CO2 emissions? I think you should all know about CO2 by now. Okay, keep your hands up if you know what methane is. How many of you know? Oh yeah, we got so many geeks in this audience. Okay, great. So, methane. This is the first global satellite to detect methane around the planet. Of course, like I said, CO2, we all have heard about CO2 over and over and over, but now the world is waking up to methane and methane leaks. And why is it important? It's not the biggest gas in the atmosphere that we have to worry about. CO2 is, right? It's 76% of the global emissions every year. Methane is only 16%. Okay, well, let's solve the CO2 problem, and then we'll get around to methane. But that is not the story. The story is that methane is 80 times more powerful global warming gas than CO2. So yes, CO2 is more of it, but methane is more potent and it warms the earth faster. And we have to do that as fast as possible, as well as CO2. We can't wait. And we're putting more of methane into the atmosphere every day, just like CO2. It's not going down. We have to solve this problem as well as CO2. So what are we going to do about it? Is this really a problem? Nobody's talking about it. Well, we should be talking about it. We should be talking about it more. Why? Because we believe we can slow the rate of the global warming by 30% by just tracking and capping methane. Going and find the sources of methane and reducing them and shutting them off. With CO2, unfortunately, we need petroleum, we need other things that produce CO2 today. We do not have to emit methane. We are emitting CO2 because of power and other things. And we're going to try to change that as fast as possible. But with methane, we don't need the leaks. They're coming from sources we don't need. We can get rid of those leaks. But the problem is we can't see it. So here is an underground storage field where there's oil and gas. We can't see the leaks. You look here, there's no leaks. But if we look with a special sensor, you see that black cloud there? That is happening all day, all night long around the world. It is going on everywhere. We just can't see it. So what do we do about it? They're everywhere. These leaks are everywhere on the planet. And the number one cause, again, just like CO2, is the oil and gas industry. They are the number one in the US and worldwide emitter of methane. We need to find out where those problems are. Second up, after methane, agriculture. Agriculture, burps, and farts from all of that stuff. So we're focused with our satellite right now on looking at oil and gas, and next we're going to go after agriculture. After that, there are landfills. So where we dump all of our trash, that's the next emitter. Our satellite will be able to cover all of those, but first and foremost, we can go over oil and gas, where it's the fastest thing we can fix. And now that we've been talking about this problem, the world didn't know about methane problems 10 years ago. The Environmental Defense Fund, who I've been working with to get the message out about methane, has now woken the world to the methane problem. At COP28, just back earlier this year in Dubai, we talked about methane, and we got a global methane pledge, funding to cap all those oil and gas wells, as well as to go and find these players that are creating these problems. After COP, the US and the EU have woken up to this problem, and they have now put in all kinds of regulations and measures and fines for those oil and gas producers to go after them and get them to fix the problems. That is amazing. This is an amazing thing. 10 years ago, we weren't even talking about, we were talking about CO2. Now, 10 years later, we're talking about methane, and we actually have legislation in place to fix it. But there's one issue. Where is the methane? Everybody sees there's a problem. Where is it? We don't have the global data until now. So our mission with this satellite is to report on all methane leaks, all of them, across the globe. So we measure emissions from basins where there's big oil and gas fields. We can do small oil and gas fields. We can even detect methane emissions from a single derrick, a single oil pump. We can do that now with methane-sat. It is the first satellite. Before, all we've been able to do is fly planes, or we've been having ground detectors. Now we can have an eye in the sky checking out the entire globe for these emissions. We can even detect the location, like I said, down to pinpoint accuracy. We know how much and how fast these emissions are happening every day. And so, back in Zurich, at Starmus in Zurich in 2019, I believe it was, I started talking about this project. It was just talk. We had hopes, we had dreams that we were going to get this satellite into space. We weren't going to get it into space, excuse me, we weren't going to get it into space with a government. We weren't going to get it in space with a company. We got it into space by a charity, a non-governmental organization. We were able to do a $70 million project with a charity to put methane-sat into space. And now we have launched it.
The levels of methane gas in the atmosphere,
which is significant because it could potentially sniff out large emitters of the greenhouse gas that's responsible for about 30% of today's global warming.
And this will give everybody a bird's eye view of the potent greenhouse gas.
It's really amazing to be here today, to be launching a satellite. No environmental group has ever done that.
We discovered that many of the methane leaks are quite small. So we had to develop a new innovative spectrometer, 2 spectrometers actually, to put on methane-sat, to have the level of precision necessary to be able to see from space that high up these very small leaks that are around oil and gas fields all over the world.
2, 1, ignition. And liftoff, Falcon 9. Go SpaceX, go transporter 10.
We just have a real clarity now, a clarity we've never had before. And I think people realize you don't have to accept what somebody says, whether that's a government or a company. You can actually directly look at it, see what it is, and that is completely different than anything we've ever had for greenhouse gases. What I refer to is we're going to have radical transparency.
The notion of getting everyone in the tent and reaching out to the energy companies, oil and gas companies, having everybody working is the only real solution.
While it will allow government the opportunity and companies the opportunity to find and fix the leaks, it will allow all of us to hold them accountable for doing exactly that. And if we do our job, the aspiration is a 75% reduction planet-wide from oil and gas methane emissions.
we are grateful that the sole responsibility for preserving and protecting this planet and public health in a fair and just way isn't solely the obligation of the EPA, but it's the obligation of organizations like EDF.
Stage separation, stage 1 flip.
Separation confirmed.
In stage engine, the MVAC.
Methane-sat, separation confirmed.
So there you have it. We launched a satellite to help the planet. It's a very, very proud moment for a big, big team of people, starting with EDF, and I was lucky to join it and help them. So what about methane-sat? It's up there. It's been up there since March. It's now undergoing calibration. It is working. It's all working just like we thought it was, even better than we thought it was. And starting next month, we're going to start telling the world what we see. It orbits the globe every 95 minutes. And right now it's focused on the top 80% of what we believe are the methane emitters in the planet. We'll be able to recognize them like we talked about, and we'll be able to tell the world about them. But what's also important is that the data from this satellite, because it's not from a company, because it's not from a government, is free for researchers, undoctored, uncorrected raw data that anyone can use to help us with this search, with this hunt, to help us figure out if maybe your neighborhood has a methane leak, if maybe an industry or a company you work for has a methane leak, and we can all go and help stop these methane leaks. And any company that uses this data, they have to pay us. And that's how we continue to sustain this mission. Methane-sat was very expensive. It's going to continue to be expensive because it's going to be up there many years. But it doesn't mean we have to just take profit and be subjected to governments or companies around the world. The Environmental Defense Fund works with all of these companies who paid in kind to help us to get there. From Google to Blue, who's doing a lot of processing for us, Blue Canyon, who made the satellite bus that the instrument went on, SpaceX, along the thing. We had many, many people contributing because they all understood that this was an important problem we needed to highlight and go solve. EDF has been the only non-governmental institution to ever put a satellite up in space and something this big in this magnitude. So how did we do it? Obviously, like I said, back 6-7 years ago when I first started talking about it, we had to get it off the ground. We had to build the case. We had to tell people. We had to run around the world trying to make sure we were doing the right things. We were getting all kinds of different constituencies. Were oil and gas going to shut us down? Were governments going to shut us down? We had to build the case, build the partnerships, and figure out if we could even make a satellite to do what we wanted it to do. We had to create the technologies and test them on the ground to see if we could do what we just talked about we could do. And we did it. Next, we had to figure out, once it's in space, how do we operate it? No charity operates satellites in space. How are we going to operate it day in and day out, get this data to everyone? How do we make sure that it can be funded all these years? And then also, how do we work on this for the next 15 years? And what does it look like? Who's going to use the data? How are we going to get it out to people? But we were able to do that. And the whole time, we were using the media to help us. We were making sure to tell people this is important, important, important. That's how we did it. But we were able to do it again as a charity. That's one satellite. But we need to do much more than that. We're a policeman for the planet, police person for the planet for methane. But what about deforestation? What about plastic gyres? What about pollution, air pollution, or fertilizer runoff, or animal poaching, or overfishing, or so on, and wildfires, and so on and so forth? What else can we do if we were just able to do with methane? What else can we do together to go after all these other problems on our planet? Just because we have climate warming gases like CO2 and methane, that isn't enough. We have destruction of our natural environment all around us, not just CO2, not just methane. Imagine a map that you could go to, you could look at, and you could see around your hometown where it should be. Fertilizer, can you go do something about it? Maybe it's a pollution alert. Maybe there's plastic on show and you can go and work with your governments, the companies in that local place. You know what the problem is, we can track it and we can go off and fix it. Because if we're not measuring it, we don't know if we're making improvements. So we showed how we can do it. We can make it high resolution, actionable, free and accessible to all. It can be done. and I hope we can do it for more things than just methane. Watch this picture, because you're going to hear a lot about methane starting next month, and we're going to keep going until we get that problem solved. So we've shown how to build it. Now we can do it again for many other things. Thank you very much.